Welcome to the Voice of Morgantown show on a big victory Saturday. The Mountaineers get a victory over the Colorado Buffaloes, 29-22. Rush, I mean, it's a good victory. We beat Dion Sanders. We beat Colorado. I have a lot of reasons to complain. I wasn't thrilled with how West Virginia played today. What were your initial thoughts?
I agree. I will say, I know Colorado isn't the greatest team in the land. We all agree there. But when you play Colorado, and because of the coverage that you get with playing Dion and being on national TV, there were definitely eyes on this game. You could tell that the crowd was in the game. There was a lot of still optimism in the air in Morgantown, even for this now 4-6 team, and probably leaning towards not bowling this year. Of course, there's still a chance, but at one time in this season, it was looking like it was going to be pretty rough. But I think there are a lot of elements of this game besides the game itself to take away and be excited about for going into next season. Now, the turnover battles, should Colorado have even stayed in this game? I'm with you, Brad. There were definitely issues that need to be cleaned up. I feel as though when you do have a young team like this and you're still finding your way, better to learn from a victory and better to learn in a season where there isn't as much pressure anymore. So I'll take it now rather than later.
Yeah, I mean, to be 4-6 2 weeks ago, we would have been thrilled with 4-6 records. So not it's not a bad thing to be 4-6 right now. Great game by Scotty Fox. Had he was up and down a little bit. He finished 17-28. He had 202 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, a couple of bad passes. But overall, again, I thought that he played pretty well for a freshman quarterback.
I completely agree. This was the battle of 2 freshman quarterbacks, right? And the Colorado guy, I mean, he's going to be talented in the future. Whether he stays at Colorado is another conversation. But about Scotty Fox, yeah, yep. The two interceptions. One was a tip, right? So not completely his fault. It was tipped at the line by that safety blitzing. And then the other one was 4th down, and it didn't look like they were going to convert anyway. So in a way, it was kind of like a punt. They still, if they had tackled him in play, they wouldn't have gotten the yardage that, the pick off. So a little misleading, the stat line there. Not all on him. The biggest turnover that hurt was the Sincere Bowers fumble when we were driving, but they found a way to make it up. The great thing about Scotty Fox, yes, there's still a lot to learn, but imagine now that you have your guy. Rich Rod has an all off season with him. If we don't go bowling, there's kind of a good and bad, a good side to this. If we go bowling or if we don't go bowling, if we go bowling, there's an extra 3 weeks of practice. Rich Rod, has more time to really work on him. If we don't, you can already look towards next year, getting him the weapons he needs to excel at the next step, and they'll still be working together. So, hey, this is the time. If there's a time to really learn those rookie mistakes, now's the time. But I mean, this guy's a true freshman, and I mean, we're all breathing a sigh of relief that we have our guy.
A couple of players I think we need to mention, Rush, right up top is Dior Hubbard. You mentioned a little bit, and how about Curtis Jones Jr., linebacker turned running back for the Mountaineers? 3 carries, 9 yards, 2 touchdowns. Yeah. What do you think, Rush? Is possibility Curtis Jones Jr. gets a little bit more playing time moving forward?
Well, it shows, one, that there's no trust in the running back room after Hubbard. Like, it's at a point where, do we just have a guy that can grind it through the red zone and get us into the end zone? And yeah, that was the answer to that. Hubbard obviously had that injury early in the game. It looked a lot worse than it ended up being, thank goodness. But, this is such a depleted running back room. I'm glad that we have a guy in there that can score in much needed time, and that be the red zone when you have, 22 guys all crammed in a small area. But hey, I'm really excited for Hubbard and the ability we have, hopefully going into next season. Hopefully Joheim White's back, and we get a couple other running backs besides those two. We're going to have to replenish the running back room.
Tosh over on YouTube said the following. He said, "Why is Chemo still seeing playing time?" Yeah, that right side of our offensive line, man, is still a mess. I don't know. Hopefully Kevin Brown, it does seem that Kevin Brown, the current Penn State commit, who visited Morgantown a couple weeks ago, is also being pursued by Ohio State. It does seem that Kevin Brown is trending towards coming to West Virginia. So hopefully we can get that fixed. But the right side of the offensive line right now is just a disaster.
Yeah, it's something that's we need to throw a lot of money into this offseason now that we know that the quarterback's taken care of. I will say, if the right line is still struggling and they haven't made any replacements, that concerns me how bad the guys are behind the current guys now.
Yeah.
So that's probably the answer to that question. Why is he still playing? Because it probably doesn't get much better than that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I don't know if you saw this, man, but right at halftime, right when we came back from halftime, Dion Sanders had this quote. He said, "Collectively, there is no way West Virginia is a better team than Colorado." I felt the exact opposite watching this game. I felt like West Virginia was a superior team. I felt like Colorado at times looked like a high school team out there. The blocking was a mess for them, even worse than West Virginia's. I thought we actually had double-digit sacks. It turns out we only had 7, but still that's a lot. But what do you think about Dion Sanders' quote that collectively there is no way that West Virginia is a better team than Colorado?
Well, Dion's a cocky guy. He's always going to be saying something like that. And of course, he's trying to get his troops motivated, and he has an act he has to play on TV. Obviously, it couldn't be more incorrect. I mean, West Virginia was in control that whole game. I don't think the score indicates the actual reality of the game. The reason Colorado was able to stay in it so long is because of mistakes we made on our end of the ball. So I think Colorado has some decent guys, but they aren't a complete team. And I agree with you, Brad. I thought it was double-digit sacks as well. My guess is, the quarterback was able to get a yard or two past the line of scrimmage, and we made a tackle there. Good for our linebackers, good for our D-line. Our pass rush was incredible today. It's something we've been waiting to see here for a while, because the defense definitely took a step back this season, but it's making that step forward again. Zach Alley seems like he's got the troops going, and something I wrote in the predictions for the game today was I expect the defense to take a step up. A true freshman quarterback coming into play. Colorado's kind of been a mess all season. This is the type of game where you take that step up and you continue that momentum through the rest of the season, and they did that.
Josh Burdett over on X says, Colorado may have more talent on paper, but we are far better coached. I agree with that. What do you think, Rush?
Maybe a player or two. Like, I think it's that situation where, maybe the receiver was really good. I think the quarterback has a lot of potential, of course. Maybe their first 3 players are a lot better than our first 3 players, but as a complete team, I don't think so. Obviously, we are on the better coaching, and I do agree with that. I mean, Dion taking a timeout at the end of that game to still just kick a field goal. You got to have your field goal unit ready. I was texting you, Brad. I'm like, what are they doing? I'm like, I'm all for it, but that's bad. So Colorado's definitely game plan is our athletes are going to beat your athletes. But when you get to this late in the season and there's film starts getting out on teams, you can only stay fraudulent for so long. You can do it early in the season, but you get to, game 9, game 10, you can't keep up the charade any longer. And clearly that showed on the football field today.
Yeah, I think Colorado probably has more, stars out of high school, players who have, 4 or 5 talents. But, collectively as a team, I don't think that to me, at least watching these two teams, I don't think that it's even close. Tosh Miller chimed in. He said, how about Devin Grant? Devin Grant has been showing up on the defensive line. Got another big sack today. A sack 3 weeks in a row. He's constantly putting pressure on the quarterback. I've talked to Devin Grant a couple times online. I think he's a great young man, and I'm thrilled to see him having so much success here at West Virginia this year.
Well, he'll be getting an NIL deal now, I'll tell you that. And it's we've seen this, Brad, and we talked about this, a couple weeks ago when the season didn't look so good. The goal of the rest of this season was to see what guys on this team can play. Empty out the benches. We kind of know the fate of the team for the season already. who can ball out and who do we need to keep for next year and make sure they stay around. Obviously, Devin Grant is one of them, and congrats to him. This is great. It kind of reminds me on the defensive side what Hudson Clement was a couple years ago. Walk on, has that stud game against Duquesne, then yeah, we might want to offer this guy a scholarship. So this is the defensive version of that.
For sure. Yeah. So looking forward, man, we go to Arizona State next week.
Mm-hmm.
They have their backup quarterback who played really well last week. And then we have Texas Tech, who is absolutely hammering BYU today in Lubbock. So what are our chances, man, to win these last two games and potentially become bowl eligible?
So I think when you get to this point of the season, right, anything's for grabs. You don't know what guys are playing for anymore. ASU, give them credit. They're still the defending Big 12 champions as it stands. Obviously, that will change. But they love Dillingham. They're going to play for Dillingham. Dillingham said, hey, I'm not going anywhere. We'll see if that actually happens. But clearly he loves Arizona State. And you got to go all the way, to Tempe. So that's going to be a tough game. Great thing about that game, hey, it's 1 o'clock Eastern time. It's still a little bit of an early start out there. I think West Virginia is playing with house money at this point. They feel like they have nothing to lose. Arizona State might still play a little tight. We'll see, how their players end up, going. But I think it's a game West Virginia can be in. Some of these teams seem as though that, you get to the end of the season, they know it's Big 12 or bust, and, they don't want to get injured. They're going to go somewhere else. We see it. This is the time of year you find out who wants to play and who doesn't. And the good news too is, Brad, we have a bye before that Texas Tech game. So we'll see where Texas Tech is at the end. Maybe they're playing to get to the Big 12 championship game. Maybe they're not. If they are, maybe they get tight. We've seen ourselves get tight in the past when, you got other games ahead. Maybe they get tight knowing that they got to beat us. Maybe they think they're already looking ahead to the Big 12 championship game. Maybe it's the opposite. Maybe the Cards, the way they fall, they're not in it anymore and they lose interest. I mean, that we know how that is when you're the underdog the last game of the season. We've seen it from both ends for us. So anything can happen. If there's a way they can go at least 5-7, the way we saw this season, I'll say that's very successful.
Over on X, Josh says, if WVU wins out, which I feel is unlikely, but if they do, the hype for Scotty Fox and next year's team is going to be next level. Yeah, I think if we get a win in next week or in the season finale against Texas Tech, I really feel like Mountaineer fans are going to feel pretty good about the 2026 season. We've got Scotty Fox coming back. I believe we have Kevin Brown coming in to help us on the offensive line. I believe we have Jaheim White, Dior Hubbard coming back. If we can get, we've got a lot of reasons to feel pretty optimistic about the 2026 season, Rush.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. This is what we wanted to do because I know a lot of us thought Rich Rod was going to be able to come in and, speaking of Kenny Dillingham, was kind of going to do what he was able to do and put us in contention right away. That's so hard to do. Looking back, like we should have known a little better. But I mean, this is the type of season that I'll take, as crazy as it sounds. Figure out this team, cut our losses early, get things right, and then you go into next season. I will say this. I think Scotty Fox is, I'll give him as close as you can to being a lock without being a lock. And I want to ask you this, Brad. Say we go these last two games and Scotty Fox struggles a little bit. Do you think he's automatically the starter next year? Or do you think we have our guy? You do?
I don't. Yeah. I don't think he's the automatic starter at all.
Okay.
I don't think he's the starter even if he does well these final two games, really, because I think that Rich Rod's going to want to go out and get a veteran who, has some experience and maybe who even fits his offense a little bit more. So I wouldn't say that Scotty Fox has got this locked already at all.
Yeah, it's going to be hard, though, if he does do well these last two games, it's going to be hard to not be like, all right, Scotty, you're the guy next season. Like let's throw our money on weapons for you. I'm going to be very fascinated by how they use their resources if Scotty Fox ends well here. I think it's going to be very fascinating in what their priorities are.
Yeah. David Newman, my guy David down in Florida, he said, with Rich, there is no guarantee he will be the starter. I don't know. Again, yeah, I think Rich is probably going to, regardless of the situation, is going to, say during the offseason that, we're not naming a starter in game one. I think we're going to go through that whole process that we've gone through for several years now, it feels like, with Rich Rod and Neil Brown. But I also expect him to go out and get a veteran who, again, I feel like it fits his offense a little bit better. Hopefully, at least that's what he does. Looking at the stats, man, I was a little concerned about West Virginia's secondary today. Juju Lewis, who, again, is a 5-star talent, but he is a freshman. He finished 22 of 35 for 299 yards and 2 touchdowns. I felt like our secondary was a mess today, man.
They were. I don't know what it is, and it just seems like this has been a concern now for years and years. Maybe once in a while we'll get a break there, but this always feels like a concern, doesn't it? I feel like we're always talking about the holes in our secondary. I mean, we definitely miss someone like Beanie Bishop out there. I will say, to give him a little bit of credit, I do think that one play that they looked at, I do think that he stepped out of bounds. I think that was in the first half. He just had the benefit of wearing a white cleat, but still, I mean, they got burnt. They got burnt at times. Colorado has good players. We all agree here that they got some stars that West Virginia doesn't have, but you got to mix it up a little bit. I would say on defense, that was the one weakness of this team. And I feel like the secondary got bailed out, Brad, because of the pass rush and their lack of offensive line. We were able to get there. It's hard throwing the ball downfield if your quarterback's running all day, right? So it's one way to protect the secondary there, but man, you're not going to get that every play. And sometimes they got to make a play themselves. I think they were okay today. I'm still concerned, but it's not panic button level of concern.
Imagine how many yards Juju would have thrown for if he wasn't under pressure all game. Like you just said, Rush. I mean, if we didn't have 7 sacks and the defensive line wasn't in their backfield throughout the game, I mean, he may have thrown for 400 yards today.
Could have. Yeah, he has a bright future ahead. I'll give him that, definitely.
Couple more, and then we're going to go, Rush. It said, Josh says, I bet Rod sticks with him as long as he doesn't collapse completely. Yeah, I mean, I would say he's probably the on odds, the favorite to be the starting quarterback next year. I just don't think that we can lock it in quite yet. David says, I mean, he has the advantage of being with Rod and growing. If Scotty can continue to grow during the offseason, he has a real shot. Yeah, I mean, for him to only be a sophomore, to have, half of a year under Rich Rod now as the starter, I think that's huge for him and his future.
It is. And I think there's something about, too, knowing that you're the guy. And I mean, think about it. The way the season started, how many first-team reps was Scotty Fox getting? Like, how long did it take him to really get true first-team reps? Even with Wilkins, Hender, all those guys. I mean, it took him till about probably a couple weeks ago to really sink in and get what he needed to get to prepare for a game. And, I mean, look how quickly he's already taken off. So could you imagine an offseason where Rod knows he's the guy, they're working, hand over fist to get him right. He's getting all the first team reps in the offseason. I mean, sky's the limit, in my opinion.
Absolutely. Okay, Rush. So any other final comments today before we go? Mountaineers with a 29-22 victory over Colorado. Any final thoughts before we go, buddy?
Hey, it's good to win 2 in a row. They found a way to do it, and happy for that.
Yep. Great day to be a Mountaineer, guys. Have a great rest of the weekend. Let's go Mountaineers, guys.
Let's go.
So Morgantown, we break it first. WVU pride, we quench your thirst. No spin, all truth, loud and proud. Mountaineer nation, say it loud. The voice of Morgantown. VO.